What's happening, everybody? Kyra and Ben back again. We are going to be starting off spooky season a little early, and this week we are covering the 1980 film Cannibal Holocaust. Ben, tell me your history with the film.
So I'd never seen it before. It was recommended. Like most of our stuff right now has been recommended. And I get a lot to say on this one.
I'm right there with you. So I had seen this film before, a long time ago, and as I was preparing to watch it again to talk about it again because I needed a refresher, I was talking to my dad, and I was like, "Yeah, I remember watching this back in college, and now I got to watch it like as an adult, and I wonder how my opinions of it are going to change." And I didn't like it back in college, and I still don't like it.
Right? It was it was banned in a bunch of countries, and the turtle
scene
was like they really did kill the turtle and ate it, and like PETA got all over them and stuff. But just no.
No. Okay, so let's for our listeners that don't know, obviously this is a spoily show. Let's talk about the film. Let's kind of break it down. So the film starts off and we are having it a green inferno. Now, Professor Monroe and his guide make it through the jungle. They are what I anticipate when I see professors and archaeologists, and what I think of when I think of people that study other cultures going in. They try to be as respectful as possible. They are trying to understand and abide by the customs of these people, and I think they are trying to treat everything with a lot of care. Now, obviously, as much care as they can take through the time. It is 1980, so not as much care is taken. But they obviously find that the whole 4 people of the documentarian crew are dead. And then but they are able to recover the footage. So he plays a recording clip of vocal sounds, and they believe that he is some sort of god because of this. So then they allow him to take the footage back. So he takes the footage back. He is hired by a broadcast company, and the broadcast company cuts what they can of the footage together. Now, he is appalled by what he sees, because there is a cut of the footage that shows everything, and then there is extra footage that is unedited that is devastating, is one word. And after that, they decide to no longer air the documentary. I can't say the word today. I'm so sorry, guys. So so that is basically the story. Now we'll get into the nitty gritty of it. Obviously, there is cannibalism. There's animal brutality. There are many a scene of rape, which is what I had blacked out. Like, I remembered the one from the footage, but I had forgotten the ritualistic one that you witness. It's a pretty not tough watch, I would say, because it is 80, so it is a little dated now. But I would still say like the subject matter is still very brutal.
Yeah, 100%. I was watching it, and I remember watching 80s movies, and even I was sitting there going, "Wow!" I was like, and I was rooting for the cannibals. I was like, "Go cannibals!" Like,
right? Because in the first instance that we see the jungle and we see these 2 tribes, we see them through the perspective of Professor Monroe. And like I had said, he takes a lot of care. He is trying to be as respectful as possible. Obviously, he is also trying to not get eaten alive. But then when we see the footage that this documentary crew cuts together and films, it is so drastically different, and so different from what I have known documentarians to do. I have always been under the assumption that documentaries are real, and that you are there sort of like a photojournalist, where you don't impede in the action and you don't facilitate any of the stories, and you are kind of just there as a silent observer. In this film, through this documentary crew, we find that they actually manufacture a lot of the footage that they shoot, and they really do try to sensationalize the tribes and the people that they are studying.
Yeah, like they want people to. It's a shock value.
Yes.
It's like they want the shock value. That's what they're reaching for. So they do all kinds of crazy, insane things that these people aren't doing. Like, these people are not doing the things that they're doing brutally. And like, because you think cannibals, you think these like are these brutal savages that are out just like killing everybody and things like that. And these people really aren't. They're just living their lives. They're like, look, and then these people come in and like, yeah, I didn't like them.
No, I didn't like them. And I think that is such a good, like what you were saying, and I wanted to piggyback off of that, is that these we see 3 tribes. We're introduced to 3 different tribes. The Yakuza, who is like the main tribe. They're the first violent tribe that you meet. And then there's the 2 secondary cannibal tribes. So the Akuzaman are not cannibals. They are just they just live there. They're just a normal tribe there. And then we have the tree people, and then they call them the swamp people. And those are the 2 competing cannibal tribes that we have throughout the film. So what is so interesting is that they are just living their lives. They are trying to survive. They are just trying to live their lives, and they are disrupted by the white man.
Yes.
And it felt a lot like, I don't know. It feels wrong to me, and I know that people do this all the time. Obviously history conquerors, but it felt wrong to watch, because like you see these people you see this documentary crew trying to assert their like obviously like Western beliefs into this, and then exploit what they imagine a tribe to be, and really kind of just butchering and really maladapting what the story should be.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it reminded me, there was a story, and it was a true story that happened a while back, where this man, there was an island, and the natives on the island put up signs and said, "Do not enter our island. We don't want you on the island. No one is allowed on this island." And he decided he was going to go and he was going to teach them Christianity. And numerous attempts he tried to get on the island, and they spared him. They said, don't come on our island. We don't want you on our island. We don't want any foreigners on our island. Leave us alone. Right? He had to get it done. He's like, I'm going to show them that they're living the wrong life and they need Christianity in their lives. And he kept on trying to force the issue, landed, and they killed him. The point I'm trying to get at is these people are trying to force this situation upon these cannibals to make them violent and angry, and it's not their life. That's not what they do. And this is like, they're trying to make something out of nothing. And it was very disgusting.
It was disgusting. And what it made me think a lot of was we see interviews. So they do interviews with parts of their family members, the ones that are dead. And you can see like, they're like, oh, the Faye, and I'm going to use Faye as an example. Faye is the only female in the group. And she actually changes her name from Tina to Faye. And she does this because she wants to be a star. And I think that's really indicative of the mindset that all of these people have, is that they want to just be famous. So they will do that at any means possible. And I think with that, we see in our leader, Alan, he is the main director, main leader of the documentary group. And we see that, I think, with him the most is his drive to just push things to the limit. First, like, they're always filming. So they're like, there's a scene where they're all just like together, like showering, and like she's naked, they're all naked, and they're just filming it. And she's like, oh, put it away. And they don't listen to her. And I think that really kind of set the tone and their mindset for how they view things. Like, things are there for them to consume and maladapt and twist.
Yes, 100%. 100%. They, what was it? When you first watch the thing, they talk about their documentary. You don't know nothing about them.
Right.
But you know that they're documentarists. And they show the documentary about, like, they were over in, I want to say, Africa, and they're executing people. And they're watching it, like, they're like, oh, this is the documentary that they made. But then you find out later on that they didn't just make this. They made that. They paid the people to actually execute those innocent people so they could have the shock footage.
And it wasn't even real soldiers.
Yeah.
It was just people in costumes.
Right. It was crazy.
It was crazy. And then I think too, it's a very small moment, and I've been wrestling in my head if it is bad acting or if it is such an intentional choice to show this character. But there is a scene towards the end in the uncut footage that does not make it to the final documentary. And what it is they find the three men of the crew find an indigenous woman, and they capture her, and they all take turns raping her. It's a very tough scene to watch. You then have Faye, who's also there pleading with them to be like, hey, you're not pleading with them to stop what they're doing, but pleading with them in a way that they'll understand by saying, you're wasting footage on this. Like, you're wasting cameras. Like, you guys need to stop. And then the next day, our next clip of footage is they're finding this woman, like you had said, impaled and killed. And you see this smile come across Alan's face where he goes, oh, this must be some ritual because she lost her impurity, and the people like this still care about virginity and purity and things like that. And it's like, how would you know that? How would they know that? No one was around. I don't know. And he gives this like kind of smile, like being like, I know I'm lying. And I don't know if I'm reading too much into it or if he's a bad actor, or if this was very intentional, like I had said. But I thought that was very interesting because, like, to me, it kind of showed how sociopathic he was. And even when he watches his friend get decapitated, he never stops filming. He only actually stops filming when he is killed himself.
Yeah, I think so. With him smiling, like, he wasn't aware that they were filming. So he was smiling at the fact that they impaled that woman. They were like, he was joyful, and like he was looking at it like an accomplishment. He's like, I did this. And it was like, if you know anything about history, Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Dracul, he takes a stake and he put it through his people. That's exactly what this person did. After they raped her and killed her, they killed her by impaling her and putting her up like a trophy. And he was smiling at it like, and then they go, we're filming. And that's when he snaps out of it and he goes, oh no, these must be because these people are, her virginity must have been taken. And, and like you see the girl looking at him like, you piece of garbage. So,
and they are all garbage. So one moment I did like in the film, and this was probably the only moment I liked, is Professor Monroe when he stands up to the board of the broadcasting studio and he's like, you know what, guys, I will not have my name associated with this. I risked my life for this footage and I want it destroyed. Like, no one should be seeing this. And they kind of go back and forth. And then as he's leaving the building after they do decide to burn the footage, he's kind of like, and I wonder who the cannibals are. And I think that is so true for how we view media and how we view what is consumable, right? Because people love a sensational story. People love blood and guts. People love horrors. And I think we are becoming so desensitized to all of this that, like, it's like the gorier the better, the more horror the better. And I know I'll say this in the podcast, and if you know me in real life, I'll always say this. I'll see a horror movie and I'll be like, oh, I really want more gore. But that is like in a fictional sense and not in this realistic sense.
Yeah. I mean, this movie I guess from what I've read that there's this director actually got brought into court and was like, you need to produce these actors because they thought that they really got killed. They thought that these people were dead. So he had to be like, no, it's just a movie. And because it is really graphic. I was like, whoa, like when they catch his friend and they cut his penis off.
Oh yeah, that was so funny.
Because he raped one of the tribeswomen. I mean, I got I was sitting there and I got everything the cannibals did to these people was because of what they had done. Like when they burned all those people in the huts, and when the guy goes to the village, the chief of the village is telling him, he's like, he shows the burned out hut with all the dead bodies in it, and he doesn't understand what he's talking about because he doesn't speak their language, but he's looking at this burnt out shell with these remains of people, and he's looking at them. And the chief's really animate. He's like, blah, 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 and he's trying to explain to him what happened because he wants to know what happened to his, this film crew. And the chief's trying to tell him, look, these weren't good people. This is what they did to my village, and, in the end, they got what they deserved.
They absolutely got what they deserved. Absolutely. And so this movie has a lot of brutality in it. A lot of people, I mean, we talked about how they actually did kill the turtle in it, pretty brutally. And I was like, can you even eat turtle? Like, is this even good? Like,
yeah.
Oh.
It's not bad.
Ben confirms is a turtle eater.
I've had turtle soup. It's not bad. It's all right. I mean,
But yeah, like I thought, and I mean, like they had that really graphic killing of like the muskrat. I don't know. There was like a lot of brutal animal deaths.
yes, I agree. With the cannibals, I kind of got it because that's what they did. They eat meat. So when they killed the monkey and they chopped the monkey's face off, and then the one guy went over and he was eating because it's a delicacy, and he was like that was like his reward for capturing the monkey. I got it because like documentaries and stuff like that about tribes, you kind of learn a little bit about like what they do, But the stuff that these people were doing, I was totally like, yeah. Even if I was dumb and blind, I'd know that this is not something like they would never stick people in a hut and set it on fire. That's not what they do.
They wouldn't do it.
No,
unless they were psychos, like these people were.
Yeah.
And and I agree with that. I don't think any choices made by any of the indigenous characters in this story were wrong. I agree 100% with you. I think every decision made by a white man in this movie, outside of Professor Monroe, was wrong.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Even the studio, because the studio, again, wants the shock value.
The shock, they say that.
Yeah. And that's what they were looking for, and they're like, oh, well, look, if we put this on here, then we can get ratings. It's all about the ratings. And, are ratings that important where human life is second?
Well, I mean, yes. Yeah. We see that it's yes. And I feel like this kind of sentiment gets like repeated. Like it's not the best example because it's obviously fictionalized too, but that movie Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. He's a news cameraman. And he breaks into people's houses to the point where you're like, are you actually killing people? To get that footage and to get that like realism. So I do think it's something that people still strive for. I do think it's disgusting because victims need privacy. Yeah. I don't know. I don't agree with a lot of that. And I think with like, but this is a different topic. I'm going to stop right now. Back to Cannibal Holocaust. So, in a funny little snafu, Ben and I had talked about watching another movie, Eaten Alive, and there are two Eaten Alives. One that came out in
1978,
and another one that came out in 1980. So, me thinking, oh, we're sticking with the cannibal theme. I watched the one from 1980, which was also about cannibals in New Guinea, and Ben watched
the 1978 starring Robert Englund, and it was about an alligator, people being fed to an alligator.
So very different. The only reason why I bring it up is I am going to mention Eaten Alive because I had some talking points about it. Because
go right ahead. I want you to.
I was prepared. So first off, very funny. Robert Kerman, who plays Professor Monroe in Cannibal Holocaust, that same year did another cannibal movie, Eaten Alive, where he played the lead character Mark, who is a Vietnam deserter who's living on the outskirts of Papua New Guinea before he decides to go in and help this one woman find her sister. What I want to bring up is the similarities between how both of these films treated the indigenous characters. So in both of these films, we are supposed to be, the indigenous characters are the ones that are supposed to be vilified because they are the cannibals. But in both films, I think they actually showed the horrors of the white man and how when you bastardize and when you pull apart parts of religion and tribes to make it what you want, to fit your needs in Cannibal Holocaust, the documentary, and then Eaten Alive, it centers around this man named Jonas who is creating who basically is a cult leader. And I thought that was really interesting. And I thought it was interesting that this guy was in both of them and he survived both of them.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't see it. Now I want to watch it because you were talking about it.
It's not good. Don't watch it.
Don't watch it. Okay.
Please, no one watch it. It is a horrible movie. And then I was looking at this guy's filmography, Robert Kerman. So he did 2 cannibal movies and then pornos, and that was it. And I was like, my dude.
well. So one thing I will say, like I watched Eaten Alive, and Eaten Alive, the 78 version, is a typical 78, 80 movie where it's a horror movie, but they have to show women's breasts. Like
breasts, titties everywhere.
So there has to be. It's not an 80s movie unless a woman is topless, like the bottom on, top off. I mean,
off.
I don't know. I mean, I remember growing up in the 80s, and I probably would have been like, yeah, but now as I'm older, I'm like, why?
Why? There are, and okay, so this actually ties in. So Eaten Alive, both of the films, numerous amounts of titties for no reason, and Cannibal Holocaust had a lot of titties.
Yes. Yep.
Now I understand titties in the sense that if you are in like a traditional wear and like the people don't typically wear like full cloth coverings, indigenous people, like I understand that, like that makes sense to me. But just like, I don't know, you can tell when it's just like we want to see, like I think that goes back to like disgusting directors, and like I know we had that big kind of like renaissance with Harvey Weinstein and like kind of like clearing out like and a lot of people were like called out on their disgusting habits. But I do think it's disgusting when you just have gratuitous titties, because I feel bad for the actresses.
Yeah, I agree because it's exploitation.
It's exploitation.
You're just you're doing it for the shock value of the, you're trying to get the male audience to be like, ooh, I gotta watch this movie. It's like, if you don't have a good plot and a good storyline, you're just gonna have a naked woman, and that's gonna make everything better, and it doesn't. It's
tedious, it's boring, it's played out. Like,
yeah, there was a lot of penis shots in Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh my god, I saw so many flaccid penises.
Yeah.
I was sick of it.
I was like, oh, okay, another penis.
Another penis.
Yeah. But I will say, the part when he got his penis cut off because of raping the girl, I thought that was great. I thought that was good. I was like, yahoo, you got what you deserved. I mean, I will tell you this, when they all died, I felt no sadness for them. I was like, oh, yep, you got what you deserved. The girl, a little bit, because
she was an accomplice to everything.
Yeah.
You can't gain a conscience when you realize that the people you're around are shit, because they've been shit the whole time, and then they're just more, and you're shit too, and then they're just more shit, and you're like, oh god.
I think she became like, when her boyfriend had sex with the indigenous woman,
when he raped the indigenous woman.
when he did that, I think that's when she was kind of like, oh my god. Before that, she didn't give a crap.
No, but before that, also, I thought it was disgusting that he was trying to have sex with her in front of the whole village.
Yeah.
Like, I just found him to be disgusting.
He was disgusting.
If she was cool with that, and she was cool with lighting the people on fire, and she was cool with faking the shootings,
yeah,
and she was cool with all of this,
yeah,
you can't pick and choose what you're cool with.
Yeah. And, you could tell the guy was a psycho, because when they were totally surrounded by the tribesmen, he's like, oh, we're going to win a Pulitzer. And I'm like, you're going to die. They're going to kill you. There is a numerous amount of tribesmen and only 4 of you. You're dead.
Yeah, and I was so glad. When he died, I was so glad. And I loved that his dad in the film hated him.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. He's like, my son's a son of a bitch. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
I love that.
Lazy
and then,
piece of crap.
Yeah. And I was like, it's so true. Yeah. I mean, I thought that was so funny, because I was like, he is bad.
Yeah, he was bad. And I thought, at the beginning of the movie, you don't know, so you automatically sympathize with they went out into the jungle and they got killed by these cannibals. So you kind of sympathetic. You're like, oh, that's awful. The poor parents have to deal with, the loss of their children. And then, when the story unfolds, you're like, those scumbags.
Yeah. No, yeah. I don't know. And I agree with that, a little bit. It always does feel like, I don't know, you could tell that they were going. I mean, even when I felt like they treated their guide, poorly in the beginning, when he was like, get up to the front, da 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 da, be in this shot.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like they really had no regard at any point for anyone.
But themselves.
So I'm glad that they got eaten. Would I recommend this movie? Probably not. If you want to watch a movie about cannibals that is more gruesome but handled slightly better, please check out The Green Inferno by Eli Roth. Way more, I'm going to say way more gruesome, but it is a little bit more modern. It does focus strictly on this, people that are we're going to save the rainforest. This is what I don't get. Why does everyone want to save the rainforest? The rainforest is fine. We're killing the rainforest because we're killing the planet. You can't go into the rainforest to fix indigenous tribes and that's saving it. That white savior nonsense is so insane to me. But I would not recommend Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. After watching it, I mean, I watched it. I know it now. I see why it was banned in countries. I do. I'm like, I get it, because I would have banned it too if I was if I was a country leader, I would have been like, you're not watching this garbage. This is terrible.
Just because it's bad, poor story.
Yeah, it was terrible. But I agree. I wouldn't watch it, and I agree with like the whole killing the planet. I mean, like I think it's funny that like stores are like, oh, we're no longer going to do plastic bags. Yet everything we've served to you is going to be served in plastic. The carrots, the so it just we've screwed up a long time ago, and trying to fix it now is just redundant.
Yeah, it's all nonsense. But the movie's not that good.
No, not at all.
I will say one other comparison I want to make between the two was there were two. I mean, I had to watch. I watched both these movies back to back. Probably my own fault. So I've watched a lot of killings and ritualistic rapes. So maybe my head is all messed up. But in Cannibal Holocaust, we watch through the eyes of Professor Monroe. We watch an indigenous woman and an indigenous man performing a ritualistic rape and sacrifice because she was unfaithful. Because I mean, I guess that's punishment and that's death. I don't know. So that happens in Cannibal Holocaust, and it's very brutal. And one of the ways that it happens is this man is holding a obviously, what's the word?
A stone,
like a stone shaped like a dick.
Stone phallus.
Phallus. That's the word I'm looking for. A stone shaped like a phallus. And in Eaten Alive, there is a scene where the cult leader is performing a very similar ritual to indoctrinate one of our main characters, and Anna, and it was like the same tool, except he dipped it in snake venom. And I was like, what the F am I watching? I was like, what am I watching? I just thought that was a really crazy parallel between the two. I found so many similarities between these two movies, which is probably why I thought that was the movie.
Yeah. No, I totally my fault. I thought I sent you the
No,
the thing.
I'm a fool. I'm a fool, Ben. It's funny. It's funny. We can talk about it, and you guys cannot watch Cannibal Holocaust because we're telling you all about it.
And it's garbage.
I do love. No, don't get me wrong. I love a movie about cannibals, though. Like I said before, I think I said it back on the Hellraiser podcast. I love good horror, and I appreciate good horror when it does not cross the boundary of psychosexual fantasies. I think you can do a lot. But there's a lot of great cannibalism movies out there. One that has always stuck with me, but is kind of a gruesome watch, is the French film Raw. Great film about cannibals. If you want to watch something a little more genre bending, Bones and All. Great love story about cannibals. But Cannibal Holocaust, we can skip it.
Yeah, I agree. I watched it. I'm satisfied I watched it. I won't watch it again. I won't recommend it. If someone asks me, I'm going to be like, it's straight garbage. I mean, it's not my thing.
Yeah, and we've covered other banned films in the past. The one I'm specifically thinking of is Possession.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that movie is relevant. It is still it is leagues better than this one. And I think if you're going to watch a banned film, watch that.
Oh, yeah. And I agree. And there's a couple of more movies that were recommended that were banned in other countries. So we'll give them the shot. And, like I said, we're not. If you like the movie, it's your choice.
Of course. We're not here to shame you.
Yeah, we're just here to review the movies and tell you how we feel about them. And, going off our talk, if you want to see it, see it. If you don't. I mean, and just get back to us and let us know what you think. I mean, we love feedback.
Yes, we do love feedback. And obviously, our opinion, like Ben said, is not the Bible. It's our opinion. But we will always be honest. Yeah. And we never want to mislead you guys. But maybe never watch this movie.
Ever.
I mean, I would even watch, I don't know. I would even watch, I don't know. There's so many other things.
Chud.
Yeah, I would watch Human Centipede 3, which is probably one of the worst films I've ever seen, only because it has no storyline. But I would watch that over this movie.
Yeah,
any day.
I agree.
Have you guys write in if you've seen the Human Centipede trilogy, because I have seen all three. Love the first one. Second one, pretty good. third one, dog shit, please write in what you think too. I would love to know because I've never met anyone else who's seen all three besides like one of my best friends, but we watch them together.
Yeah, I've never seen them, so yeah, let us know. I mean,
Let us know. It's a little tangent, but if we're talking about disgusting, gruesome horror, it kind of made sense in my mind. So like I said, we're kicking off spooky season, so it's gonna turn into a lot of horror. We're gonna have a guest come on. We're gonna try to hit all types of horror, though. Foreign horror, for us, domestic horror, older, newer, gruesome, psychological. We're gonna try to cover it all, because we don't want to become pigeonholed.
no, not at all. And all your requests are still here. Once Halloween comes over, then we'll go back to the request. And we do have a couple of requests coming up, like Lady Chatterjee versus Norway, Parasite. So those will be released probably soon. I'm going to get them out before October, so I might have a back-to-back release, and then release this one the start of October.
Start of October, spooky season, baby. But again, thank you guys for listening. We couldn't do what we do without you. We're gonna have a special guest come on our show soon. Like I said, we're gonna talk about a lot of horror stuff. If you have a movie you're super, super passionate about, write in and let us know. Maybe if you plead the case well enough, we'll review it immediately. Only if it's good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and catch us next time on What's Happening.